You ever wake up to a letter so absurd you gotta laugh just to keep from flipping your kitchen table? That was me. Tuesday morning, staring down a certified demand for $47,000 in fines from an HOA I never signed up for in a house I'd owned for 12 solid years. Yeah, you heard right. I'm not in their HOA, never was, never will be. But there I am, coffee mug in hand, watching Karen Whitmore, the president of that little suburban dictatorship, standing on her picture-perfect lawn, pointing at my place like she's Napoleon about to declare war. All that morning dew sparkling on her grass. You just know gets measured by the inch, probably her proudest accomplishment. Now, I'll be honest. At first I thought maybe it was a prank. I took a long sip of coffee, stared out my window and thought, lady, you just stepped in it. Big time. And before we get any deeper, I want to know what's your craziest HOA story. Drop it in the comments because mine, I promise, it's about to go off the rails. Name's Garrett Mitchell. Back in 2011, I just wrapped up 2 tours in Afghanistan. Used my VA loan to buy a chunk of what I thought was the American dream, a little over 2 acres, and a ranch house that used to be the Hendricks family farm before all the subdivisions came in. Willow Creek splits my land from the shiny new Willowbrook Estates, where Karen rules her $800,000 castle with an iron fist and a ruler. Over there, grass is regulation height and trash bins don't dare tip over, not with Karen watching. After my divorce, it was just me and my daughter Emma. She was 16 and needed somewhere steady to call home. I'm an independent contractor. Electrical, plumbing, whatever puts food on the table. My workshop is my happy place. The smell of pine and WD-40. Better than any therapist. You know what I mean? Emma's out there catching tadpoles, breathing real air, not whatever chemicals they pump into the lawns across the creek. And then came Karen. If you've ever met someone who's read every HOA bylaw, like it's the Bible, multiply that by 10, and you've got her. White Lexus, always spotless, clipboard, never out of reach. Her husband, Brad, County Planning Commissioner. You better believe that detail comes back later. First time we met, she marched up to my mailbox, pearls and rage in tow, clipboard cocked like a weapon. Your workshop violates neighborhood standards, she tells me, not even a hello. I laughed, told her, ma'am, I'm not in your HOA. Her smile could freeze water. We'll see about that, she says. That was 18 months ago. Since then, surveillance, intimidation, pure suburban warfare. She'd time my work hours, photograph my truck glare at me from across the creek. Heck, she even bought binoculars. But things hit a new level when Emma had her birthday party. Just some friends, burgers, music done by 9:30. Karen called the cops. Twice. Cops left laughing, one even grabbed a burger. Next morning, violation notice on my windshield, my workshop, my gravel drive, my garden fence, all illegal. $500 fines for each. Emma just shook her head. She's lost it, Dad. And here's where Karen showed her cards. She thought I'd fold just like everyone else. She's bullied into submission. Problem is, Karen never did her homework. My property excluded from her HOA from day one. If she'd checked the records, she'd have saved herself a 1.5 years of headache. But narcissists don't research, they attack. So I strolled down to the county courthouse, pulled the deed, thank you, Dorothy County Clerk and secret hero, and saw it clear as day. Survey lines dated decades before Willowbrook was ever a glimmer in a developer's eye. 47 feet outside their jurisdiction with Willow Creek as my moat, even called the HOA's management company. Sir, you're not in our system, you're not in our HOA, plain as day. Did Karen back off? Please. 2 days later, she showed up on my porch with her brother-in-law Rick, self-declared surveyor whose main credential seemed to be owning a neon vest. They started mumbling about creek migration and redrawing boundaries. Ma'am, I said, waving my survey, water doesn't move property lines, not how law works. She turned bright red, promised to call her attorney. Here's the twist. Neighbor Mrs. Patterson, 83, calls me over for coffee, hands shaking from years of dealing with Karen. Her kitchen smells like vanilla and old secrets. Your place was left out on purpose, she tells me. Environmental concerns. Brad pushed the whole thing through so his construction company could get the contracts. Suddenly the pieces start clicking. Next violation arrived, now accusing me of nuisance that hurt property values. Karen even brought in Pembroke and Associates, some big city law firm, to amp up the threats, liens, foreclosure, the works. But here's where it flipped. The neighbors started coming out of the woodwork. The Kowalskis, the Rodriguezes, they'd all been bullied by Karen. Swing sets ripped out employers, called all because they couldn't fight back. She'd target working folks while the rich folks skated by. But every threat, every paper, every fake complaint documented. Meanwhile, my cameras caught Rick sneaking around, staking out my property line, trying to make it look like my shop was encroaching on HOA land. When I called him out, he took off so fast his cologne stuck around longer than he did. Emma started feeling unsafe. Karen was now parking by the bridge with a telephoto lens timing Emma's walks to the bus. That's when I knew this was past property. This was straight-up harassment. Document everything my old platoon sergeant used to say, because crazy reveals itself if you give it enough rope. So I did. Karen, never one for subtlety, amped things up to nuclear. She filed a lawsuit, $47,000 in back fines demanded. I joined the HOA, abide by all their rules, pay her legal fees. My attorney, Janet Absolute Shark, flipped through those papers and just started laughing. She's either delusional or running the longest bluff in county history. But digging through court records, Janet uncovered 6 previous boundary disputes. Karen had started 3 families lost their homes because they couldn't afford the fight. Predatory, pure and simple. Things got ugly. Someone scattered nails in my driveway, keyed Emma's car, sent out flyers calling me an unlicensed contractor. Clients got warnings. My income tanked. Karen wasn't just after me, she wanted to ruin me, but she slipped up. Janet and her paralegal found the original county environmental report. My land was mandatorily excluded for flood zone reasons. And the kicker, Karen's husband had been told in writing, including my property, would violate federal law. They faked a dead man's signature to try and drag me in. Forgery, conspiracy, the works. Best twist, Mrs. Patterson had recorded years of HOA meetings, hours of Karen on tape boasting about bullying families who couldn't fight back. We assembled everything: financial records, forged docs, even video of Rick placing survey stakes. The neighborhood rallied. Even the union and local vets pitched in legal funds. We filed for dismissal, countersued for harassment and fraud, and dropped the whole case in the county's lap press included. Karen's meltdown at the public hearing was pure theater charts, sob stories, crocodile tears. But when the county engineer calmly pointed out her survey, put half my shop in the middle of the creek, she doubled down, accused everyone of a conspiracy. Then came the tapes, the forged documents, the expert witnesses. The crowd watched Karen unravel in real time, screaming about veteran conspiracies, calling everyone traitors until security had to haul her out. The commission voted unanimous. HOAs incorporation, fraudulent. All fines and liens voided. Karen and Brad referred for criminal prosecution. The neighborhood cheered like we'd won the Super Bowl. Emma hugged me outside the courthouse, whispering, "You saved everyone, Dad." Best feeling in the world. 6 months later, Karen was out probation, community service, banned from ever serving on any HOA again. Brad lost his job, their house foreclosed, restitution paid out. Emma's college fund went from maybe community college to any school she wants. The neighborhood reinvented itself. Potlucks, youth baseball, even an annual creek festival. Mrs. Patterson, now our new neighborhood president, wrote the book on how to take down a suburban tyrant. Karen. Last I heard, she drives by sometimes, but never stops. Maybe she's afraid we'll all come out to wave. So what about you? Ever stood up to a bully with too much power and a clipboard? Drop your wildest HOA nightmares in the comments. Let's show these would-be dictators they're not as untouchable as they think. And hey, hit subscribe. There's plenty more drama where this came from. You stick around. You might just see the next Karen get what's coming.